Previously, with the help of the ever-talented KJ, I completed my collection of Ranma 1/2 videos. I am now the proud owner of all 161 episodes, both feature films, and now all 13 OAVs. It is now time to review the Lucky 13. Before I get started, the first thing I should really point out is that there are no subtitles on this DVD, and the episode itself has not yet been dubbed into English. But if you have ever read the manga story it is based off, you should have a pretty good idea what's going on. The actions and body language of all the characters speak volumes. The Incense of Spring Sleep originated from a chapter in volume 32 of the manga. Surprisingly, the story they based this OAV off isn't the main story of the book. The main story of volume 32 was not the Incense of Spring Sleep, but Battle of the Boobies. Yeah. Basically a multi-chapter story arc in which both Ranma and Akane have grown a cup size, and subsequently Nodoka takes them out to buy some new bras. Needless to say, Akane is still flat compared to Ranma, making her ever more jealous than usual. But enough of that off-topic stuff, let's focus on the source material. The plot of the original manga story is as follows. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Akane had purchased a collection of incense sets, and Happosai offers her one to add to the collection. Ranma gets suspicious, and it turns out the incense would have put Akane to sleep. Who knows what Happosai wanted to do with her during her slumber? Wanting revenge, Happosai concocts up the Incense of Spring Sleep with the intent of getting Ranma to inhale it, and thus sleep for the entirety of spring. But in his attempts to get Ranma to inhale it, Akane ends up falling victim. At first she seems fine, but later it takes effect during class. It turns out that Happosai, as usual, didn't read the instructions entirely, as the Incense of Spring Sleep is intended for those who have been deprived of sleep due to constant attempts on their life, and those who inhale it become a master of self-defense even during one's sleep. For the rest of the comic, Ranma, Ukyo, Hiroshi and Daisuke constantly try to wake Akane from this nightmare, but all their attempts somehow have an effect on her dream. Splash her with water, and she dreams of drowning. Put a blanket over her, and she dreams of being tied up. You get the idea. As a TV adaptation, the new OAV is fairly faithful to the original. A lot of the original scenes and dreams are retained, but also there are a number of changes and additions, some minor, others major. As previously stated, Happosai wanted revenge on Ranma for foiling his attempts to get Akane to sleep. Here, he wants revenge for foiling one of his usual panty raids. Well, they had to show the twins somehow. Also, while the manga focused only on Ranma, Akane, Happosai, Ukyo, Hiroshi and Daisuke, this one brings in the whole cast. Yes, Shampoo and Kadachi were also in the original story, but Shampoo only appeared in dream form. Whilst we're on the subject of the inclusion of characters that were absent in the original story, it's worth noting that this episode lets another cat out of the bag, or in this case, Pig. Earlier in the martial arts cheerleading episode, Ranma's secret was revealed in front of the whole school. Of course, in the manga it was revealed during Musa's debut. This episode reveals Ryoga's secret to everyone. Well, everyone except Akane, who was still out cold. But then again, this episode suggests that Akane might know more than what she's letting on. In one of her dreams, Ranma fights Ryoga to the death, and Ryoga is clearly seen wearing a pig mask in her dream. Could it be? I think it's about time we address the biggest changes in the episode. The manga version of the incense simply puts a person to sleep for the duration of spring and makes them the master of self-defense. All of that is retained in the anime, but with an additional twist. Here, Akane goes sleepwalking whilst under the influence of this incense, and wreaks havoc on the Ferencan school grounds and the streets of Narima. There is also the inclusion of this antidote incense that is apparently supposed to be administered mouth to mouth. This is reminiscent to the events of a story from Volume 31, in which a sickly boy wanted Ranma to administer his medicine mouth to mouth. Needless to say, all the guys who have the hots for Akane want to have their turn in administering the antidote. By far the biggest change in the entire story has to be how they eventually wake up Akane. For those wanting to be surprised, I advise you stop watching now. In the original manga, after many failed attempts to wake Akane up, Nabiki sells Ranma what she claims is an antidote incense that should wake Akane from her slumber. Ranma lights it, and Akane dreams of a mosquito. She swats at what she thinks is the mosquito, which turns out to be Ranma. She wakes up. Apparently what Nabiki sold was just an ordinary anti-mosquito coil, and she didn't know it would really work. Now, Akane's mosquito dream has been somewhat retained, although it has been given a little twist. Bugs with human heads. Now where have we seen that before?
Here, good Francois.
Wait in the house. There's a good boy for you.
Yes, that's right. They actually parodied the famous spiderweb scene from the 1958 horror classic, The Fly. Nabiki is definitely in this episode, although it is not her who wakes up Akane. That job goes to Kasumi. As to which I think is better, well, I think both versions work in a way. In a story centered around only a handful of people, Nabiki's con trick, turned blessing in disguise, certainly fits. In an episode about the entire cast all trying their hardest to wake Akane and failing miserable, and it all comes down to the kind and motherly Kasumi to bring solace in time of distress, it really is quite beautiful. So again, both are quite good, and I'm happy with either, given the circumstances. Let's just hope this doesn't turn into another Han shot first scenario. The dreams themselves are hilarious. It's nice to see so many of these zany dreams faithfully adapted, as well as the inclusion of new dreams, all of which have their own theme. Indiana Jones, Jungle Commandos. There are even cameos by various characters from Rumiko Takahashi's other work. Makes one wonder if Viz answered DJ Clive's cries to see Ranma and Lum cross paths. One thing many people have talked about is the animation. It seems there are mixed views among fans, and quite frankly, I have them too. The art of the original 12 OAVs was a vast improvement over the animation of earlier seasons. But today, this style of animation is virtually obsolete. OAV 13 uses modern digitized art. The animation itself is certainly quite impressive and very detailed, although in certain scenes, the character animation makes it look like the limbs and bodies are made of elastic. Kinda reminds me of Love Hina.
Let go of me! What if your stupidity is contagious?
As for the character designs themselves, on the whole, virtually all the characters look quite good. It stays true to Rumiko Takahashi's original designs from the manga, but still updating them appropriately. However, there are some exceptions. It's nice to see Hinako Niyomiya finally make a return in the anime, but why did they give her rosy red cheeks? These physical traits were never present in the manga, and surprisingly, nor do they appear in the character design printed in the booklet that came with the DVD. So what are they doing here? Then there's the Beavis and Butthead of Ranma 1/2, Hiroshi and Daisuke. Hiroshi looks very much like his manga counterpart, and is still up to date. But this is not the case with Daisuke. Look at his eyes. Why are they so huge? All the previous episodes he has been in depict him with very squinted eyes. Even DJ Clive brought this physical trait to our attention right at the beginning of his profile on these two.
The wide-eyed, poofy-haired one on the left is Hiroshi, and the short-haired, squinty-eyed one on the right is Daisuke.
Why faithfully represent the designs of all the main characters, and yet change something so profound about a minor character's design? In spite of its minor flaws, I must say that it is nice to see more Ranma 1/2 back, and I hope, hopefully more episodes will soon come of these books that have not yet been televised yet. Obviously, they don't know if there's going to be any more Ranma episodes, and of course, the manga version of the Incense of Spring Sleep wasn't one of those, one of the most memorable stories. So they added a whole lot of new material, But I think that new material, is pretty good on it in its own right. So I give Nightmare: The Incense of Spring Sleep a 4 out of 5.